Welcome to the Tired Dads Comic Club. I'm tired.
And I'm dad.
Almost there.
I,
Almost
I
there.
could only I will only get it right once in a while for you on a
That
special
is kind of
occasion.
that is kind of like a Christmas
It's
gift for me.
it's
And
by
we
design.
are the
Yeah.
Tired Dads Comic Club, where you don't have to be a dad, you just have to be tired. And if you're tuning into us, if the YouTube algorithm put us on your screen, I'm guessing you're not getting enough sleep. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the most unique comic conventions that are going on today from two people that lived it. One of which is to my right, Carl, my co-host, who you all know. But someone else who went through it that may be a newer face to some of you. To the bottom, it is my absolute delight to invite our friend Ian, as some of you may know on the internet as Jewish Dragons, as seen on incredibly long Omnidog streams that have stretched on for 6+ hours, holding it down there. He was also there, one of the great philanthropists within the original comic art medium, and it just wouldn't be right to have a meeting here where we talked about this without getting him on. So, Ian, how's your sleep doing?
Not good. So
Not
I
good. Yeah,
picked the right
yeah.
place.
You are in
That
the
sounds
right
right.
place.
Yeah. And technically, I will say, not to brag about it, but it was like 7 hours and 50 minutes that I was on it.
This this
Don't
is
don't
true.
don't don't short
Long
him those 2 hours. Like
that he probably won't invite me back because I think he went to the hospital and the doctor like after that
I, th
streak.
Since that has happened, there have been multiple times where I've been like, Jess, you've said 2 hours is your max. We're approaching it. I need you to watch out for yourself. You said, no, 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 I'm good. I'm good. Okay. I'm like, I will not be part of this. I'm checking out at the 2 hours. I'm gone.
I was on a stream and that was you left that stream
Yeah.
and like I wasn't aware of the 2 hour limit, but I was like catching on as the show was going on. I was like, wait a minute, I think he's not supposed to be going along on very long. So then I kind of like towards the end, I was like, all right, I think we should wrap it up. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it
I
worked
was
out
not
great
aware.
where I had an out where I got to like have a night with my wife at that point, but then also I was just like, I will be no party to after you have, because like you said, for one of his anniversary streams, you held it down for him for like 8 straight hours that he was on, and he literally ended up in the hospital. But the hospital is not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about OAX, also known as Original Art Expo, which I think is one of the most unique Comic Cons that is going on right now. When people think of the great cons in the U.S. where we are, a lot of ones that'll come to mind. You'll hear Heroes, where of course Ian, you and I met up last year. Love Heroes. Just a great celebration of what we all love about comics. You'll hear about some of the bigger ones, New York, San Diego. You'll hear about Baltimore, which Carl, you're a big fan of, and people kind of put on that same level as Heroes. But then you have OAX, which is really sort of geared more towards the original art side of comic collecting, which all of us here, do have our fair shakes on. But you can't get original art in comics without the artist that created. And because of that, you have some of the most insane artist lineups from over the last few years. Carl, I know you've been now, is this 2 or 3 years you've been?
3 years, all three.
3. And Ian, what about you?
Yeah, I went all three as well, but
Okay.
this was the first time I actually met Carl.
Yeah,
So
I was unaware that he was I didn't know he was there the first couple of years, and then I was like, wait a minute. After the fact, I was like, wait, you were there? And yeah, and I forget if I knew the first year or didn't know the first year, but then I found out after the second year. I was like, wait a minute, what happened?
I
So
don't know. I saw you the second year and you're across the room and you seemed very busy negotiating a deal. And I said, okay, well, I'll come back. I'll find him later. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to mess up, you know, I
yeah,
don't want to block anything from
this
going
year,
down.
yeah, I had like not much of an agenda at all, so I made sure to do have lots of conversations, and you and I talked multiple times throughout the time we were there. So I made up for lost time by getting it right this year.
So, for those that haven't heard of this, broad strokes, can you kind of cue our audience in on what OAX really is, kind of where it is, when it goes on, general capacity, number of artists? I don't want to do specific names just yet. We'll
Yeah.
get that in a little bit, but just sort of for those that are going on and saying, why is this something, like, what even is this?
So the Comic Art Fans website, where we all have we're a gallery, you can share your collection, and a lot of collectors go on there and just post their pieces. You can post comments. It's got like a social network for comic art collectors. And over the years, they have done a few online conventions. Started around the pandemic, and they did a Comic Art Live, which was an online convention where you can post things for sale. They have artists on. They have interviews. It's all through YouTube. They'll host shows all throughout the weekend, so that it's an online event. Um, and then they did a collector meetup in Ohio a couple years ago. I think it was like 4 years ago. I think it was like the year before the first OAX. Kind of like the prototype of what OAX would become. So they decided, this is really fun. They got a lot of collectors together in the same room, and they had a couple dealers there. It was then like a hotel, like ballroom type thing. And
As someone who lives in Ohio and
yeah,
has been to some of those, like they are generally in just like hotel rooms with like a bunch of like guys with tables kind of
that's
standing out, just
yeah, that was
talking. And yeah,
that
yep,
was what this was at.
that sounds true to my experience.
I think they went to the Billy Ireland Museum
Oh, nice. So
when
that
they
would have been in
first.
Columbus then.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think they did. That was like part of the thing. One of the
That would
events that
make
they
sense. Yeah.
arranged. Yeah, and so then they started it in Orlando. They hosted it in Orlando 3 years ago, so it was 2024, and it was held in because it's been different times every year. I feel like it was in January the first 2 years, and then it was in February this year, and it's going to be in
Right.
March next year. I think if I'm remembering that correctly, but
Okay.
yeah, it started the first year was a very small, maybe like I think it was like 400 to 500 attendees, and there were about 70 artists. The numbers as far as what the artists were, I don't remember, but it felt like around that.
60, I think it went from somewhere in the 60s, somewhere in the 70s, and now
Th-
close to 90.
yeah, that sounds about right. And the attendees have scaled up as well. So I think this year the number I heard floating around was 1,000 attendees. But it was a bigger event this year. But they also have every year they've added on different aspects of original art collecting. The first year there was a small kind of trading card art there at the show, and then they really honed in on that the following years and grew that, so it became a really big event for the trading card art collectors, trading card collectors, and also the ones who collect that art. This year they really like expanded to it was like illustration art. There was a IC3, which is the comic art fans. They bought IC3, which is a small independent indie show, indie focused show that was in
Providence.
Jan- Robert. Is that where it was?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's in
Okay.
Providence.
So
Like Providence, Rhode Island?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where it started
Providence,
out.
Rhode Island, and Orlando, Florida are about as polar opposite in
Well,
every way as you can get.
so in order to kind of get in on my understanding was because where do the comic artists of the superstars today, they start out as indie artists and working on different various projects. So to get the different level or get different points in artist career, comic art fans bought IC3, bought the independent show, and now they're taking that national. So they're going to do multiple shows throughout the year, and OAX is just one of them. And I know they're going to do another one in Jacksonville, I think soon, like later this month or next month.
Uh,
Um,
and then the Providence show is in September or something like
we'll
that.
continue. And then from my understanding, they want to do Kazra, as the CEO of Comic Art Fans, has talked about having multiple shows throughout the year in different locations across the country to kind of get the different local flair for wherever the indie artists are, which is cool. I think that's really cool to tap into that energy because like that's like what I'm really, take a page out of Bunk's book, but that's what I'm really a little more excited about in terms of comics these days anyway. So I really like that. So yeah, so they added IC3, so some indie creators. They had what was it, animation art. They had what am I
And
forgetting?
when you say animation, are you talking about cells? Are you talking
Cells,
about like storyboards?
cells. They had the
Okay.
animation cells on display and for sale. And yeah,
And
what
again,
else?
they had some Ganga as well as some production pieces
Yeah,
as well. So,
and then there was something. what am I a gaming art. So original art
Okay.
for games, and so yeah, it's expanding to a bunch
And
of different
when
types
you say
of.
gaming art, are we talking concept art? Are we talking like marketing kind of images? Are we talking like the like when you get like the art of whatever and you get to see like the 360 of Garrus and like the different like kind of things like that?
I I think it's encompassing all of that.
Okay.
Then anything that falls into the category of it'd be like original box art, like box art paintings for video games, or I think it all is under that umbrella. So it's just a way to kind of bring all the different aspects of collecting any type of illustration and original art, under one roof. And yeah, it's really a great experience. So, and yeah, we'll get into more of it as far as like artists themselves, but it had a different vibe this year, and I really like the vibe. But they've done a good job at scaling up, but also scaling up appropriately. So there are more attendees. It does feel busier, but it doesn't feel crowded, and that's they're doing it intelligently.
Ian,
Yeah.
would you agree with that assessment, or has Carl just been straight lying this whole time
Oh
about
no,
everything he's gone over?
it's just a smoke show coming out from that corner. Yeah, no, but Carl is absolutely right. It's been a very nice progression from year to year. Um, and I think, this was easily the most polished of the years. They kind of learned a few things from the first 2 years. Um, and, in addition to adding all these other types of, popular arts, um, they added an award ceremony where they I guess collabed with the Jack Kirby estate, like Jack and Roz's estate to create I believe it's called the Roz and Jack Kirby Awards. And so they were giving away, well, there you
The
go. Yeah,
Jack and Roz Kirby
Jack and Roz.
Awards.
So
Oh,
which was,
th-
I think there were about
that's
five
such
or
a cool
six.
image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carl, can you actually just keep that up in front of you? Like for the rest of the show, can we
Okay.
just
Yeah.
look at
Yep.
that instead of you?
Yeah. Of
Okay,
course. No
perfect.
problem. Yeah.
Sometimes I
So,
mistake Carl for Jack Kirby,
But
so,
I do
um,
like one thing. I love that they included Roz in there as well as like part of, because the awards are designed about the artist's journey, and Roz is a part of Jack's career, and his is right there with him. So I like that they included Roz, and it's also with the Jack Kirby estate and his like was it grandkids that are
At least
was it
I think his daughter was
daughter?
there,
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah. Sorry,
then maybe his nephew.
yeah. So
all right. So again, so that should give everyone kind of like an idea, painting picture in your mind's eye of, just sort of numbers and things like that. Again, I don't want to reveal the guest list just yet because I think that kind of takes us into your guys' experience with the show. But just so that everyone, kind of knows going in, um, Ian, can we start with you here? What is it about this show specifically that excites you, that gets you there? I mean, you talked about the animation cells, and in the original art collecting. Carl, you mentioned some of the trading card focuses in the past. So obviously, there's some different focuses going on. What is it for you? As individually, that you have said three times, yes, this is something that I want to go to and fly, uh, not to dox you, but you live in somewhere where that would not be an easy drive for you to make.
No, not at all. Yeah, so it is a commitment. And here's how much of a commitment it was. It was the first time that I've been to Florida in over 20 years, you know. And I never really wanted to go to Florida again. So, but I said, okay, for this, I will go. I will break my streak.
yeah,
Uh, but I think ultimately, all the collectors actually talk about this quite a bit, that as collectors there's all sorts of ways, we if you've been doing it for a while, you've kind of figured out ways of getting the art. Like, getting the art isn't really a problem anymore. You can buy it from dealers, you can buy it from the artists themselves. They post it on the website. You can get it from eBay if you still do that, or auction houses. And so actually buying art isn't really the motivation for me. Obviously that happen for better or worse. We can go into later, but it's really just meeting the other people who are also collectors. Um, it's almost like the comic art fans website just came to life all of a sudden. Um, and these people who I've known in the chat rooms and on streams and, posting comments to art or looking at their art, all of a sudden they're real people. And suddenly this thing which used to be virtual all of a sudden becomes very tangible, very, um, meaningful in a way. And I think, I mean, I think I'm like like many people who are just kind of looking for a way to make my life, which is becoming more and more virtual all the time, to find something that seems grounded and seems genuine. So it's a way of just having a genuine connection with people who love the same thing you do, and who sometimes beat you out in an auction for it.
And Carl, before I tag you in to get your perspective there, I just want to echo that idea of community is definitely something that I think is keeping a lot of comic conventions, at least some of the better ones, sort of relevant now. As you talk about, there are more and more opportunities to get the things you're looking for. I think specifically to Heroes, where we met. Obviously, Heroes has an amazing cast. It's a huge convention. There's so many extra things that go on with it. But for me, the big draw of that show was all of the people that were online friends, and were people that I talk to all the time, whether it be online or in Discords or things like that, being in person and just that sort of experience of so many of your friends. It's almost like a reunion, like a high school reunion of people you've never met, and just like being out on the show floor. And like we were hanging out, so we would we were in, I think I met up with you right after Daniel Warren Johnson's line, and we were kind of like chatting and like going around different places. And then, we kind of broke off for a little bit. And then I met up with someone else, and I was with them for a little while. And then Omar was walking by with Melanie. And so I was, and it's just sort of like, groups of hanging out, and just, for the 3 days that you're there, it's just all these people, and it's the community that's really going. The comics are great, but the community is really driving you. And Carl, I know behind the scenes you've talked about sort of that being an experience that's going there. Is that the big driving thing for you as well?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you both touched on the community aspect of what we do, be it comics, be it art, whatever. There aren't as many people in my everyday life that really care about this stuff. So to find this group of people who are just as passionate about these things, it could be a different, different comics or different art, whatever it is. But it's fun just to talk to the people that are excited about a certain type of art that has doesn't appeal to me at all. I can appreciate it as solid art or beautiful stuff, but it never would occur to me to buy it or whatever. So, but to see them get excited about those type of things and experience that joy with them, that's a huge part of why I go. I mean, this year I really, like I said before, I didn't have a plan as far as in years past I had uh, picked up some prearranged things that I bought from Felix, and I said, hey, if you just bring it to the show, and I'll just pick it up there. So I knew I had some things to pick up at the show, and then I arranged a couple commissions here and there. But this year I had nothing. I didn't no prearranged pickups, no commissions prearranged for the show. I just was going down mainly because of the reunion aspect of it, because it's just to go there and experience this show and be around friends that now I see a couple times a year, and some if they go to Baltimore. But yeah, it's such an enjoyable experience, and because like you mentioned, Bunk, you described my weekend just like because that's what it was. It was going from one conversation to kind of like weaving through the show floor and then just passing off to another conversation, and it just that's how it was the entire time. Because then you walk by a table, you see a friend who's at the table who's looking at stuff like, oh, what are you looking at? And it's just you just kind of you keep doing that, and it's awesome. It's such a great time.
Yeah, and again, I think your point about all of us, obviously we have our real life lives. We go off, we do our things. This is a big part of it, but this isn't the only thing. But Carl, I'm looking at your tombstone in the back there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's too many people that come over to your house and when they're hanging out in the kitchen, you go, hey, check this out. Do you see this right here?
Yeah.
This paid for this island. Like I don't think too many people that are like coming up to you are like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Okay.
that's cool. And you're like, no, like look, I had this and now I have this, but now
Yeah.
we have this, and like that's a thing.
Yeah, so so just to catch everybody up on what Bunk is referring to, there's a page in the Death of Superman Absolute Edition that I owned, and I provided a scan to DC, so it's actually in the book and I'm credited. My name is in there, and it's a cool thing. But I had that page. It became very expensive, and I sold it. I sold it to a friend of mine because it was just a number that I just was not comfortable with, and we were also going through a kitchen remodel. So I took those funds and put it towards some of the stuff we were doing in the kitchen remodel. So it's yeah, like that art that I had paid for a portion of the kitchen, which is like really cool, and it's all part of the collecting journey, and it's a story. But yeah, like you said, people are just like, oh, this is a great counter. It's like, yeah, I paid for that with like a piece of paper. You're like, yeah, money, a check. Yeah, no, comic art. You're like, whatever, shut up. This is a good island. So yeah, but yeah,
Well, and speaking of that page, it was not just that Kitchen Island that paid for, but actually tying us back to OAX and kind of getting to the meat of the experience, that also got you a Matt Wagner cover from Dracula from Matt Wagner
correct.
last year, or year before, as this show has some of the heavy hitters in the industry. I mean, every year. I think I said before, I've never been to this show. I'm here because I just want to hear about it. But every year I look at the list, and they are some of the craziest. I mean, your Mike Allreds you've got going there. Just the big names, the ones that are huge draws for everywhere else. Ian, you can attest when we went to Heroes. Guys like Mike Allred. A 2 hour line in order to get to go and see. Place like OAX. Much smaller and like the opportunity to go there. So now I kind of want to talk about your individual OAXs. Can you guys talk a little bit about the artists that were there, what the big draws for you outside of the community as far as those artists were, and bring us through a little bit about how you spent your time, who you saw, and what really got you excited from there?
Ian, I'll defer to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a little bit of a, maybe it's a privileged situation in that, I live in a part of the country where a lot of comic book people live. And there's a lot of conventions here. There's a lot of like people who just show up at local comic stores and sign books. It pretty much happens every week. And I actually have to like turn down opportunities. I just can't go to everything. So there's literally, I mean, there's a comic convention every other month. There's shows that happen every week. There's a there's never a dearth of comic people around. So, even though I'm sort of rich in that respect, have the artists that they bring into OAX is just sort of second to none. It's as good as any convention that has, 10 times the number of attendees. It's as good as New York Comic Con. It's as good as like as San Diego Comic Con. But the difference is you're not sitting there with, 100,000 other people. You're sitting there with 1,000 people. In the early shows, 500 people. And so just to use your example, you know, I literally just walked up to Mike Allred and said hello. Like there was no line. It's like you could just, there are times where, there's downtime, they don't have anybody at their table and it's like they're drawing away or they're organizing stuff and it's like you can just strike up a conversation. It's like and then you can walk away and it's like and they're not there's no pressure to sort of um just to queue up and to sort of have everything that you've always wanted to say to this person, ready to go. You can just have a natural conversation. It's like you're an artist and they're the artist and you're the fan and but ultimately you can just relate to them as another person who just happens to be in Florida at the same time. So sorry to get to
But
that's the preference of that is that Um,
I just want to piggyback off that real quick because that that's what's great about it. It's not transactional based. Like you don't have to get in a line and then go up to this table and because I'm having this thing signed or I'm going to buy this print or whatever it is at a show. It's pretty much you have to be in this line and dedicate the time to go do that. At this show, like Ian said, there's a lot of downtime for the artists because they're just there. They're there for the same reasons that we're there to see other art, to see, talk to have conversations with the collectors. I had a similar. Mike Allred was just walking around the show floor, and I had a Planet of the Apes shirt on, and he loves Planet of the Apes. So we were just walking. I had a conversation actually at Paulo Rivera's table, and we were talking about Planet of the Apes, and it was just like a really like just natural, just two dudes talking about Planet of the Apes. It wasn't about this artist. I'm at his table. It's just two people who enjoy the same thing, and it just happens to be that the one guy was Mike Allred. So that's the opportunity of this show, and it still feels like that even today, even though it's a larger show. The opportunity for the conversations are absolutely still there.
yeah, I mean, I got stuck in an elevator with Adam Kubert, and I was just sort of, hi, how you doing?
Okay.
Oh yeah, just yeah.
Having lunch, and
Technically, I have shared a an elevator with Brian Michael Bendis, and I only realized afterwards that my son was wearing Miles Morales shoes, and I was like, could have been like, hey, look, man, he
Yeah.
made that guy, and my son, who's 4, would have been like, he doesn't look like Spin, and been like, well, he's not Spin, he made him, and he wouldn't get it
You're
at
like,
all.
what?
But that would have been cool for me.
And again, I got not to. I promise you, and I will let you talk in a minute. This won't be like some other streams where there's like so many people on and like,
I was gonna
like
say you did cue that up with yeah, we'll let you, and then you're like, yeah, let me go
wait,
ahead and give the
wait,
floor, but also
no.
I
Uh,
do not rescind my time. Let me go ahead.
it's a good opportunity to bring this up because we're talking about him being in the elevator with Kubert. Uh, all the attendees and all the artists pretty much stay in the same hotel, so it's like a weekend event where it's just there's the show hours and there's also just lobby. There's just people in the hotel, and so they're just at the restaurant, the bar in the hotel. Just people are just having conversations, sharing art all over the hotel all weekend long. So it's that kind of experience. It's not just things happening on the show floor. So just to speak of the environment of the show and what makes it special, that's certainly an aspect of it as well. So
yeah, yeah, that it's that's definitely one aspect of it for sure. I understand that Terry Dodd. I didn't go on this drinking escapade, but apparently, Terry Dodson hung out with people pretty much
you
the
did.
entire
Yeah, they
night.
on there was a bub crawl, which is they because it's a Universal City Walk because it's at a hotel near Universal. So was it Friday night? I think it was Friday night, and they went and did a bub crawl, and at the end of it, if if you went to all the locations, you got a T-shirt and whatever. I did it, but I didn't drink. I had one drink and then just socialized the rest of the time. So it's
So
just
you
another
don't have
opportunity.
the T-shirt, is what you're saying.
I do have the T-shirt because I made it to the end. I just didn't drink all the way through there. So 'cause that's what it's not like. You don't have to like get hammered because I'm like I know I had one drink and I was like I'm good. That's I know. So but it's just another opportunity to have that experience with other collectors. Just kind of like a late night event that was going on because the show it just goes on. People are doing something at like all hours, just like communicate, like hanging out in the lobby, talking, having conversations. Yeah, so it's like a whole weekend long event.
Yeah, people are up to like 4 in the morning, and then they wake up at whatever 9 to get to the get to the dealer room, like or get
Yeah,
to the rumors happening like at 10. So
like no, I definitely got some sleep.
that can be really intense for some people.
Yeah, I was like, guys, like, no, I'm not. I still need some sleep here. Like, I'm not doing 5 a.m. stuff. So,
But to answer your original question,
wait, one more thing. No, I'm just.
um, so this year well, the first year I did one commission and I set up one convention commission, and then I set up one while I was there to pick up later. Um, and then the second year I didn't do any. Um, and I felt a little left out because people were sort of showing them off, and I thought, oh, man, maybe I should have done that. And so this is a feature of the convention. The convention gets all the artists or most of the artists to commit to kind of taking a bunch of pre-show commissions, and then they kind of do them at home, and they you pick it up at the show, just like obviously it happens at other bigger conventions as well. But they can have you can basically pick amongst as many as like 40 different artists for any one year. Um, so this year, I lined up 5 commissions,
Okay.
and then to make up for last year.
Yeah.
And then I had bought something. I bought a couple of pages during like the holiday sales that some dealers had, and I said, okay, I know you're going to be at OAX, so I'll just pick it up there instead of like risking the shipping and all that.
Now, do
And
you said 5 commissions.
5 commissions, so
Can Carl and I each get 2 guesses and see if we can get at least one
yeah,
correct?
Carl's seen some of them, so I don't
All
think
right, well then
I
Carl
don't think
can.
you can get it, but
Yeah,
you
I'm
can get
out.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, of course.
So, one of the big names that I was super excited was at the show was Zoe Thorogood. And I know for a fact that you have a page at least of Billy Scott. I can't remember if you have a page of It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. Tell me Zoe was one of the commissions that you got lined up beforehand.
I don't know what they say when I feel like I should say have that line on Family Feud when it's when when somebody gets the answer right, but you got it right. Yes.
All right, I'm tapping out from there. I got one of my guesses. I don't need the other one.
Yeah.
I got 20% of your list. I'm good there.
Yeah, she was taking 2 commissions, and as soon as I saw her agent post this thing on I don't remember what it was, maybe Instagram or something. I mean, I had already had the email written, because like I kind of pre-write these emails to sort of
Hmm.
explain what I want. And so because I commissioned the same thing from each person, so I have
Okay.
5 takes on this character. And so I just sent that thing off immediately, and I said I'll just pay you right away because I want to reserve my slot. Um, but it actually took a couple of days because I kind of didn't read the whole the whole email, and they said, you give us three characters that you'd like to see, and so she could pick between them, and she wasn't taking superheroes, and she was kind of leaning towards anime characters, and so I don't know, I just sent off an email saying, I just want this one thing, and so I think you know when I met her and was talking to her about it, she hadn't actually seen the media from which this character is from. And so I think it took her a couple of days to just kind of like get her head around it and kind of go, could I actually draw this? Um, so anyways, that's just how it happened. But yeah, I was not going to miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, she doesn't do it that often.
No, no. I mean, especially with she was one of the cadence artists. And actually, you know, if you're watching this, you're probably aware of what happened to Cadence Comic Art. I was super thankful for them because I actually got to meet Zoe at 2 shows because Cadence had a pretty big presence at those and actually got her out. So I met her twice. I made her sign 2 sweet potatoes, which she thinks is absolutely hilarious. It's a thing from one of her books. I think I'm really funny, and so I like to make her do it. And yeah. Um, but yeah, so since Cadence is no longer, I know she has new representation, but she also is sort of like kind of doing her own thing, and it seems like she's, her art is always wildly popular, and B, it seems like it's less accessible than it has been in the past, which obviously makes it more exclusive. So I can't wait to see that. And I'll hold off on the other ones until you get to kind of like showing off. But so obviously you had those 5 set up. As far as you were like planning on the rest of the weekend, did you have other artists that you were like, I want to go meet, check out their things? Did you have any sort of plan for other people, or is it like I'm here for these 5 commissions and I want to mingle, and anyone else is just dead to me? I want nothing to do with those artists.
Um, I wouldn't say the latter, but I did, like every other collector, I'm sure, like we have our eye on things that we can't really buy today, but at some point you'll kind of find the funds and sort of pick it up later. So there were a couple of pieces that were like that for me, and I knew they were with certain dealers, and I figured they would just buy them. I mean, they would bring them, and I thought, well, okay, if it's the right price and they still have it with them, I'll pick it up finally, and not check that box off my to buy list. And so one of the first things I did was, I went by Anthony's comic art. I'm sure you guys know who that is, but I bought from Anthony many, many times. I've met his wife, and I'm kind of friendly with them. So, but I realized I needed to buy a gift for somebody. So I went to his. The first thing I did was go to his bins that he brings with him from New Jersey. Like it's just this giant set of like art, like
Like
fine
four or
art.
five tables, and each table has like multiple bins, and each bin has 20 portfolios in them, and it's just an
Yeah.
overwhelming amount of art that he
When you
brings.
say bins, I'm thinking of like the $5 like bin at Walmart of like DVDs from like,
So
25 years ago that you
like a tote, like a Rubbermaid tote that's just like
that sounds less fun.
portfolios.
In my head it was like just there's so much original that you're just sort of like scrounging through and it's like
I
wait a
mean,
sec, Predator 3 and also an original page of Uncanny 72?
it can
That
feel
is
like
like
that.
that is his warehouse. So I've actually been to his warehouse in New Jersey, and anybody can go. It's just like it's a store. It's literally, I mean, it's kind of like Costco, but with like comic related, not just comic art, but other memorabilia and comics. Like kind of graded comics and all this stuff. Um, Only it's like Costco, but nobody bothered to shelve anything like sequentially.
Oh, so it's like Ollie's then.
Yeah, it's like
I was
exactly
gonna
all
say,
these
I don't know
different
that you guys
comic
have
art.
Ollies out there, but as a great lover of Ollies, it's large open space that may have the greatest deal on something you've ever seen, or it may have yeah, a family of rats that has just taken over the local economy, and has just like taken over.
Yeah, I mean, I say this lovingly because I really do like Anthony and his family. They're great people. Um, but yeah, it's just an overwhelming amount of art in his warehouse, and it's like I only had like I don't know, like an hour, and I just kind of had to scramble around. But so
Yeah,
anyway, the first hour I was like looking around for this gift, and thankfully they had something that I thought was appropriate, and but then I picked up this just double page spread that I had been meaning to buy for a long time from off of his website, and so I did that for a couple of dealers, and I got a couple of pieces, and then I noticed um Nate Powell was there.
okay.
I knew he was there, but I didn't have anything in mind. But I had bought something from him, or his, not from him directly, but from his dealer at Heroes, and I realized, oh, there's a following. There's probably a page that follows this page that I already have. So, in sequential, two or three sequential pages is kind of one of my it's not really a focus, but it's a thing that I do.
It's fun to
I,
do.
I I
It's
love a
really,
good set of
yeah,
pages.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I just thought, okay, well, if it's there, I'll just get it. And so I ended up having this nice, this
I guess
really,
I'll have to do it.
it's like, I mean, and Nate is just this wonderful person, to talk to. So we had a nice conversation, and I picked up a couple of pages from him, and that's kind of the cadence, the way the whole weekend went. I would just kind of mosey onto somebody's, area, and I just start talking to them, and like kind of look around, and like, if it struck me, I'd pick something up, and then I'd feel like, oh, I had a nice connection. Now this piece of art is now associated with that conversation rather than just being this object that I have that I, happen to win in an auction. Um, so anyways, so I didn't really have an agenda, I just kind of wanted to hang out and see people and basically try to get Carl to buy more than I did, which I failed miserably at.
Yeah,
Um,
I considered my
it was
weekend a success. Yours is a success too. It's just in a different way.
I mean, if you're walking out with a Zoe anything, you're doing if Zoe commission specifically, like that's I can't wait to see that once we get sort of to the portion of the show and tell.
Yeah, well, I had to. I also knew that the auction was on Saturday night, and I knew I wanted something in the auction, and I wanted it so bad that I had already bid on it, and I just needed to figure out how high it was going to go because you sometimes you can't tell. I was unsuccessful for the previous 2 years from winning anything, and so I just thought, okay, well, I'll just sort of maintain some ammunition, some salary cap, so to speak, so,
Yeah,
so I can go
yeah.
after the thing. And so
Budgeting is important.
yeah, so that was how I kind of held back on
Okay,
Friday.
all
And
right.
Friday there was only a 2 hour. In years past, it was the Saturday and Sunday only show, and they had some events on Friday, like a VIP opening night reception type thing. This year was the first time that part of the VIP package, you there were 2 hours of show floor time. So from 4 to 6 on Sunday or on some Friday night, there was the show was open. So.
All right. So, Carl, tell us about your weekend. Who did you have any commissions lined up? Who were the artists you were most excited to check out? And what was your general strategy for the weekend?
So really going into the weekend, I had nothing set up, no commissions. Yep.
Boo,
Yep. I know.
boo.
Yeah.
Dan
I
Jurgens cried the whole weekend.
well that was interesting because so Dan Jurgens was there. He was there in year one and I got a really amazing commission that I absolutely love. And it was, not inexpensive, but OAX is a good thing or a good show to because Dan doesn't do a lot of bigger commissions at shows. He'll do kind of like head sketch type stuff or like a figure on 11 by 14, but doesn't do he'll do like maybe like a single figure on 11 by 17 or one or two figures, but no background type stuff. So it's good stuff, but it's not as a fully fleshed out pieces as you might find like a cover type thing. So OAX provides that opportunity to. I was able to a couple of years ago. I set up a bigger piece with him, and it was great. It turned out amazing. And so going into this year, he was there again, and I thought, the opportunity was there, and like, should I get another one? And part of my thought process is kind of evolving in how I collect art as it is. Just because the opportunity was there, I was like, do I need to get something or not? I wanted to, but I thought I had to come up with an idea that I liked better or more than the commission piece that I already had. And I was like, I don't really want to try to top myself. Like I don't want to try to outdo this piece I already have because it might I mean it wouldn't really change how I viewed the original piece, but it's just it does make that piece still feel really special. So I didn't really want to go in and do another big type piece with him. And then I also didn't really want to do just like a single type figure piece just to have something from him. So it was
And
interesting. It was
just real
weird.
quick, for anyone who's listening and isn't familiar, is that your one of the four TV monitors of the Reign of
So
the Supermen,
So
or
no, the one that I got from Dan a couple years ago was it was an unused layout. It was a cover submission that he sent to DC for a like a Death of Superman omnibus, like a collected edition. And it was artists will send in multiple layout. They'll do like prelims. They'll send those in, and DC will approve one of them, and that's the cover that the artist will do. He had shared online years ago. There was this one layout that he really liked that he didn't get the chance to do, and it was a layout that he really enjoyed. So I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. So when the opportunity came up, I was like, hey, would you like to revisit this layout and then complete it? So it's actually it's the one where Superman is just a silhouette, blacked out silhouette, where then it has the four
yeah,
replacement
the
Superman on the side,
yeah on
but
the
not
TV monitors?
not no, that's a different that's a different one.
What? You have two
That's
different ones of the same thing?
it's not the same thing. So it's similar. That one is actually it was a Butch Geist commission where it's Superman in the fortress in his black suit with the long hair, and
And a
he's
silhouette from the back, so you can't see it's him.
no, you
There's a profile.
No, it's him standing there with front facing. So, um, but it is similar because it incorporates all the characters. It's Superman and the four replacements
Okay, so you
on the
did the
monitor.
same thing that Ian did, where he just had everybody do the same commission over and over. You're
I
just
mean,
not honest about it.
no, no, no. So this is actually it's different, but it's the
It's
same.
different.
It's so different. No, yeah, I mean that's the thing. A lot of my commissions are from the death and return of Superman, the artists that were involved, and many of them feature all the characters. It's a Tom Grummett piece that I have that has all the characters on it, same type of thing, done in
Mm-hmm.
their style, and yeah. But it's different. This is actually a cover layout that he was unable to do that I had him kind of bring to life, and he penciled it, and then I had Brett Breeding ink it, so it's a completely done piece. So yeah, I forget what I was getting at, but
You were talking about how you were there wasn't
oh,
anything that
within
you could think of that you would like more
yeah,
than that.
right.
So even though the opportunity was there, you didn't want to
I
go
decided
for
I did not do. He's going to be at Baltimore, so I still have time to. I'll maybe reach out if an idea comes to mind. But what's cool about this show is because you can have those conversations. I still walked up to Dan's table, and I walked up, and he's like, "Hey, Carl, how you doing?" And it just like that my 12-year-old brain to the idea that the guy that was I was enjoying his art as a teenager. That he knew who I am, he knows my name. Like that's just cool. Like you do get reduced to like childhood. You're like, oh man, that's really cool. That's amazing. But he's just like a guy. He's just a dude that like is a successful artist and writer. And but you were this is the type of show that allows you to have those conversations and then get to know them on a more personal level. Not like completely personal, but it's a different type of intimate feeling than it would be you at a different convention where it's you have your couple minutes there and then you're off to do something else. So yeah. Anyway, so it's I that was my approach. So even though the opportunities were there, I bypassed some of those opportunities just to kind of keep. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money this year, and I had two goals, and I was able to get pieces from two artists that I went down there to get pieces from. I didn't know what I was going to get from these artists. I just wanted to come home with an example from each of them, and I did. So I actually only came home with two pieces. So mission accomplished. So
I did
well.
my best, and
yeah,
I
I
barked off
listen.
every.
I appreciate it, Ian. I
I I love every time I walked by Ian, I was like, "How you doing?" He's like, yeah, "I got something else." I was like, "Oh, great!" And it's like it's great stuff. So I was excited, and that's the thing, uh, I like it just share that excitement with other collectors, and you don't have to be. I mean, Ian might not like this, but it's like you don't have to be spending money to enjoy the show as well. But it's the camaraderie that you still get to enjoy the pickups from with friends.
Yeah, literally, like people bring their best stuff to the show, and they not as an ego thing, I don't think, but they're excited to show other people who they know will genuinely appreciate, what they have. And like we all know how hard it is to get some of these pieces. You have to go through a lot of, a lot of emails, a lot of hunting, it costs a lot of money for sure. And, it just takes time. And so I don't think anybody but another collector really understands like just the amount of investment, like personal, emotional investment that you have put into your collection. And so, they bring just amazing portfolios and literally if I did nothing but just look at other people's portfolios, that would be like super, super satisfying. I mean, I saw some of the most just amazingly curated collections. Like, I won't call out his name, but there's one guy who he only collects, I think, pre-1980 Filipino art.
that's dope.
And it's beautiful. It's in the nicest Itoyo you can possibly imagine, with the rings and the like detachable pages, and he's labeled them the way like you would see in a museum. He's like printed these labels and stuck them to each page, and it's just beautiful. And like people go. all out to sort of show off their stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
And you see that like again all throughout the hotel, like in the lobby, just sitting there with portfolios open. You can and the thing is, it's such a welcoming thing that if it's just like an open portfolio, you could just walk up and might not even know who the collector is, but you instantly have this like, oh, that's the you can recognize the art, and you have this instant bond with whoever this person is, and then it's like a then you just have a strike up a conversation, and you just made a new friend. So it's just it's a really amazing opportunity to have all those different kind of collectors around.
Well, speaking of those pieces and everything like that, I think we've come to, where we're going. You guys have, danced around a little bit. You've mentioned some things that are there. Gentlemen, time to come clean with who you saw and what you got. Ian, since you started off last time and you've got five of them to go there. Carl, why don't you start us off there, and then we'll kind of alternate between the two of you.
Sounds good. And the thing is, so I have two pieces that I bought from the show, and one of them is currently being framed. So I only have one on me, but I can share what it is because I have the book that it's from. Well, so I'll actually do that. I'll do that one first. Um, get my stack of stuff here. Bunk, you will appreciate this one. So, uh, going down, I wanted to hold on a second. So I wanted to Jared Cullum was one of the artists that I really wanted to get something from. I've been enjoying his stuff from afar. Yeah. Yeah, yep. So I've read his books Wonder City, Cody. He's working on the Usagi Yojimbo book. Was it
He's got this Planet of the Apes that
there's a
no one really likes that stuff, but
Planet of the Apes story that they worked on. So yeah, I was like, I had Cody. We're talking about Cody. So I bought Cody
wait, wait,
for
wait. Is that the soft cover?
yeah, it's the yeah, I know. You got a hardcover shame me, Mr. French. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
As Carl mentions, if anyone's looking at this no, I'm a fella. Um, this is in French, but there is a an oversized hardcover edition of Cody, so you can get Jared's beautiful watercolors in much larger size.
Yeah. Well, my art is bigger than that, so so yeah, so I knew I wanted to get I bought it for my kids. They both enjoy it, and I was like, you know what, I want to come home with a page from Cody. And I reached out to Zach and Sam, or the artist bullpen, the reps. Zach actually is a writer as well. He's writing the Usagi Yojimbo
Yeah,
book
with Jared.
with Jared.
The
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So I reached out to them. I said, hey, what do you guys bring to the show? Can you bring what you have of from the Cody pages? Like I knew that they had a bunch of pages left. A lot have sold already, but they still had a lot of pages, and they've been kind of been holding them off because they're going to do like I think a bigger release once Cody 2 comes out, which is later. I think in September. I think Cody 2 comes out. And so they'll probably do like a big online release of some of the Cody stuff to kind of celebrate that release as well. But I said, if you're willing to bring whatever you can, that would be great. Sam actually lives in Florida, so he actually had the art down there. So it's a matter of bringing it in the car with him. So that was like one of the first things I did. I went to the artist bullpen, and he had two boxes of just like stacks of Cody pages, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And it just the idea, knowing that I'm obviously not going to buy all these pages, but just going through each one just to appreciate the art, the opportunity. And he's like, yeah, take your time, whatever. Like just I spent a long time of the 2 hours. I probably spent about like an hour doing that, and then an hour the other artists that I'll talk about. But yeah, so I just went through the pages that they had, and I wanted something that had Cody on it. Naturally, I wanted something with Katya. Is it Katya? Katya. Terrible. I think it's Katya, the little girl. Katya. Is that what it is?
I don't
I
think
think
it's Kaya, because Kaya is Kaya
no, Katya. Katya. Like
from
K
Wes
K.
Craig's book.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. Yeah, KATYA.
Yeah,
Katya.
Katya.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I was like, ideally, something with both of them on there would be really cool, but those are a lot of the pages that would naturally go first. And the book is came out what 2022, 23, somewhere in there. So it's a couple of years old. The pages have been somewhat picked through, but yeah, I went through and let's see if I'll pull it up here. It's a scene where uh Cody meets Joshua
The
and
fisherman.
the fisherman. Yeah. So the story, Cody is it's a very simple and charming and sweet
A
story.
very
Very,
simple.
it's very, uh, but it's a little girl and a bear who strike up a friendship, and the little girl meets the bear when she's visiting with her grandmother, and then has to return home. Cody the bear is upset by this and wants to, be reunited with her, so he travels to Seattle to try to meet back up with the little girl.
Is it
And
this one?
it is not that one. That would be amazing if he had a little shirt on, but it's actually the page where Joshua meets uh Cody, and it's in the dumpster when Cody is hiding in the dumpster,
Yes.
and
Great
Joshua
page.
is like having a conversation with who he thinks is a little girl, because there's a picture of Katya and Cody that falls out of the dumpster, so he thinks a little girl is inside the dumpster. But then so he's having this conversation. He's talking about his past as a fisherman, and then he has this realization that oh no, it's a bear that I'm talking to, and it's Cody kind of pops up out of the dumpster, and that's the page that I picked up because it's just such a sweet. I love the story, but and you also get on that page you get Katya and Cody, and there's a picture that Joshua was holding, so you get like a little image of her on there, and it just felt like the kind of like what's that's the picture
I'm
that
gonna
he's
do
holding.
this without knocking down my
Yeah,
microphone.
that's the
Not
that
the
is the
easiest thing.
yeah. I wish my piddly little book here is just it's not cutting it. That hardcover French edition. I'm not jealous. I'm not. Um,
He's not. Don't worry.
I'm not. I'm not. But yeah, so I was like, you know what? I had narrowed it down to a couple of them, but that was the one that just I kept coming back to. It's just a good. It's got the three main. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bunk loves to to show off his collection of hardcover editions from France. So
France, you're doing it right.
yeah, yeah. Kudos. Yeah, so I would love if they actually do a hardcover edition of Cody for us in the US. Maybe once Cody 2 comes out, maybe they'll do like a collected edition with both of them, which would be amazing. But yeah, so that was uh, right. So I oh, actually I'll share this too. So when I got to the table, before I even saw the Cody pages, they had some copies of Drome, Jesse Lonergan's Drome on the table that Jesse had remarked in because at I think New York. So they had a couple
I was
left
gonna say
over.
when I saw them at Heroes, they were table mates, I think. So I assume that they're like friends and like actual.
Well, they're both rep by Artist Bullpen as well. So they're yeah. So but while I was there and I saw copies of Drome, I was like, oh, do I need another copy of Drome? Um, but they were cover price. They were $30. I was like, oh man, all right, I guess I'm buying another copy of Drome. So I had them put one aside because they hadn't priced the Cody pages yet. They were gonna, and Jared wasn't there yet, so they're gonna talk to him about the price on it. I said, yeah, if you just set it aside for me, and I'll circle back and I'll pick it up later. Because I've dealt with both Sam and Zach before, super cool guys. I love dealing with them, and that's again it's the relationships and not just the collectors but also the reps and the artists, and it's everyone that kind of makes this whole hobby and machine operate, and there's just a lot of just cool people who are doing it. So and like Ian said before, the conversations you have, be it with the artists, the reps, that actually adds to the enjoyment of the art. If the buying of the art is a good experience, even if art reps get a bad rep, but if it's a positive experience, that adds to the enjoyment of the art, and that it's important to have a solid representation if you're going to go through an art rep. But anyway, so those guys, love dealing with them. Super cool. They set the stuff aside, and I was like, oh, I'll come back later, and then yeah, and then I went off to do my second thing, which I will share afterwards.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Ian,
Yeah, I was
what do you want to show off?
well, I was at
You can show off
I'll
a
just say
couple because I've got one left, so go ahead and
well,
spread it
I will
out.
just say that I also went to the artist bullpen table because and I did see those drone copies and they were really cover price, but they had quite large pretty detailed remarks in them.
Yeah,
I
like
might
headshots. Yeah,
yeah, I might have bought 60% of the supply.
nice. Yeah.
Uh, you know, um
Sounds like those might be some of those gifts that you were mentioning that you were looking for.
they may go to someone who will appreciate it at some point. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what Carl was saying. Even most of the art reps. I mean, I think it's almost universal. Like, all the art reps are also fans. Most of them started out as collectors, and they ended up, having these massive collections, and they went into business for themselves. I'm sure some other people found their way into it in other ways, but they're also all fans, and so they know they love the same thing you love, and one of the interesting things about OAX is that they actually have set aside a certain amount of floor space for fan dealers, basically, fans who just come there to kind of sell their art. And, people that Carl and I know, they've kind of split the table, the cost of the table. They hang out there, for the whole day, and then it becomes a place to just chat with them and just hang out. And yeah, and I met some people who I'd interacted with online and never met before, and they were just bringing their amazing collections and selling off pages. So, anyways, I'll go back and show something. So when I was at Heroes, what was that in June last year?
Yeah.
Uh,
June, it was like
Mid-June,
late
okay.
June,
Oh, late.
28th, I want to say.
Okay. So, Nate Powell is represented by I think his name is Sean Watkins at
Athenium.
Neum
Yeah.
Art. And so, I kind of was hanging out there and looking through their stuff, and I ended up buying this page, which I had not actually read the comic book at the time. It's
You
from his,
showed me that one, I think, when we were at Heroes.
yeah. So, I didn't know a ton about this comic, and I didn't, but it's it's this story about this kind of punk band, this sort of up and coming punk band that's touring around the country, and they basically, I think they end up being cursed and having to play the same tour over and over again. And it's kind of a love story. It's kind of like like every band movie that you've ever seen, where the band has the highlights, they break up, they have fights, and that sort of thing. So I just love this page because I think it's just, I mean, the detail is kind of crazy, and it's like,
Do you remember what the name of the book is that's
oh,
from?
sorry, yeah, it's called Fall Through.
Okay.
Um, and so, I just like this page, and so I happened to sort of notice that they had the second page or the following page of it, and so I picked that one up, which is, this. It's basically a two-page sequence where they're moving, they're having to move cities and they're having to pack. And I just think it's just sort of an interesting set of choices that Nate Powell made. The book is mostly purple in this way. It's like it's almost monochromatic in that way. There's like flashes of yellow and a few other colors, but it's mostly this purple journey. Um, and so I just thought it was kind of cool to just have two pages, just like, we talked about before. And what I learned in buying that page, um, and I guess I was that, Nate Powell he was in a band when he was younger, and it was like a, quasi-punk band, and they toured around he said for years. I can't remember the exact number of years, but I was sort of surprised at how long, he was actually a musician for a while. Um, I guess maybe this was long before he was a celebrated comic artist, but um, one of the things that I noticed, or that I took note of, and I later told uh, another collector, Carl and I know this collector who he also is a professional musician, and he collects comic art, and I guess one of his foci is, art where people are playing instruments. And so, I told Nate Powell, have you met this guy? And it's like Nate said no, but so I sent him over, to the table, and I hope he bought some pages because I know he's a working musician, and like he loves art that focuses on music. So it's just
Whoever
And
that
whoever
you
that art collector friend is, I really, really hope that he has some Dave Chisholm stuff because I think no one is. I mean, first off, Dave is like an actual professor of music, and incorporates music into a lot of his stuff, but no one, I think, draws music like Dave does.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure you must know Dave.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not going to get the best page that Dave ever drew because you got that.
I was I was so as a quick aside, yeah, at Heroes, where E and I were, Dave was a guy I was excited to see, and I was trying to be good. I actually went into the weekend with a plan that I wasn't going to buy any original pages, and I'm already planning on going up to Dave. While I was there, Rick Quinn was also there, and Dave's portfolio has just like in big letters, "Open me up, you coward." Uh, and like I was, I'd looked online to see, and he didn't have any of his pages listed there, and so like I was flipping through, and I was just kind of like telling him, I was like, oh, I've been, really hyping up Spectrum. I love this book, and like when I try and like tell people about it, there's this one page, and I described it, and he's like, oh yeah, I know that page, and he like flips it, and he's like, and it's right there. It's just like, oh. All right, I'm gonna regret asking, but like, and like, it's so not the sort of thing I go for because it was like it was a full page splash, and I'm like, all right, how much is it? And like, I expect he's gonna like put this ridiculous, and I'm like, it's worth it, but like, it's not really my budget. And he like thinks about it for a little while, and he gives me a super reasonable price, and I was like, all right, hold on. There was like no internet service, so I'm like trying to like send him a like I'm trying to like send him a payment and it won't go through. So like I'm trying to like run upstairs where there's like more service and like come but yeah. And actually in Spectrum, the uh the deluxe edition, Carl, you talked about this on a much grander scale. But it's really neat that in the back of this, they actually have some of the scans of the originals and it's selected ones. So it goes through and just has some of sort of the more high impact ones and going over. And I was like, hey, wait a second. I know that page.
That's a
So
good feeling. That's a good, it's
yeah,
like,
it was cool to see like
yeah,
not only obviously the original or the one in the story there, but then the scan of the original. I was like, I have that. That's my page now.
that's cool.
Um, awesome. So that Nate Powell and like that story sounds right. I gotta look that up. Because you showed me that original page from Heroes before, and I was like, this thing looks crazy. And seeing that other one with it, and then hearing that, I gotta check into that for sure. But
Yeah. He's a,
uh,
he's a super nice guy, they gave me a bit of a deal because I actually ended up buying another page as well. So they gave me a deal, and so and then the next day, so one of the things that I had done before the show was that I'd ran into this local artist, who's a working artist. He's mostly an animator, but he's starting to do more and more comics work. His name's Chris Anderson. He is the inker on the American Caper comic that's coming out right now from Dark Horse Comics. And he's basically he's more of a finisher actually, because I think David Lapham is just doing the breakdowns, and Chris is really sort of putting his stamp on this comic. And so I met him a couple of times in the past few months, and I happened to pick up
That's a
a
cool signature.
couple of books, including that one, which ended
This
up a
this
cover
yeah, this is a book that Ian sent me as because Ian is known to do such kind things like that. But it's a this is the book I was showing you
Yeah,
about
it's got the yeah. I was
the
gonna
Jesse
say
Lonergan.
that had the
Yeah.
Jesse and like obviously
So it's
that back
uh,
is Jesse.
all red cover. There's a story about Jesse Lonergan. There's Francisco Francavilla is in here. Like I was like, this is like Ian gives better presents than my family. So I have no shame in like, anything like I'll have to tell like specifically this is what I want if I'm gonna want something comics related. But like Ian sends me this out of the blue. I had no idea that this was a thing. No clue what it was, but it's like full of art that I absolutely love. And I was like, man, Ian. So, but yeah, it's signed by the Chris Anderson, who's
the danger
who's
of
that?
giving your address.
That's a
Yeah.
sweet signature, by the way. Like that
Yeah,
just
yeah.
looks cool.
Yeah. So he's a totally cool guy. And one of the things that he does, I guess when he has spare time, is that he has this YouTube channel where I guess part of it is like a podcast where they kind of review or just talk crap about the Claremont years of the X-Men run. Um, and they go issue by issue, and then I think I'm not sure if he's doing it during each show or he does a little after each show. Chris will just do a drawing in his style, and his style is kind of very, um, it's kind of grotesque in a way. Like it's realistic, but it's like pushed to a grotesque level whereby people are doing sort of absurd things, and it's all tongue in cheek. So he'll produce a little drawing, like maybe it's 8 by 10 or 7 by 9 kind of drawing, and he had a bunch of these drawings at this like little show that I met him at, and he did not charge very much, and so I bought a bunch of them, and I just said, hey, I'm just going to give these away at OAX because there's plenty of X-Men fans, and so apparently one of these X-Men fans is Nate Powell. Nate Powell loves the X-Men, and so I went up to him and I said, hey, I have these drawings. Do you want one? And he said, yeah, and he said, yeah, I just met Chris Anderson the other day because Chris is also, I think he's like the CEO of something called Power Pulp Comics, which is, um, I think it's a bunch of independent artists, who are trying to set up their own distribution system and promotional system rather than needing to rely on, companies like Diamond used to, do the service that Diamond used to provide for them. So I think they're trying to do it on their own and have a lot more control over their destinies.
That's cool.
So somehow, Nate, Nate knows Chris and Chris knows Nate. And so I gave him what I think is a pretty cool storm drawing.
Yeah. And they use those as the thumbnails for the videos, right? Like so when
Yeah,
they post the episode on YouTube, they use that image that he drew of from that comic as the thumbnail.
yeah. So, it's just a fun way of just meeting people and sort of engaging in a more in-depth conversation about the X-Men and how goofy they are, and but yeah, he loves the X-Men too. So,
Nice.
um, sorry, I'm supposed to show art, right? Okay, I know. Shut up and show art.
No, yeah, are you kidding me? Like that's, but again, like that's the stories that come out of the ability to have those conversations at a show like OAX is what makes it so special. So like hearing about those stories is actually um is more impactful or a better way to tell what the show is all about rather than showing art. I mean, of course we love seeing art, but like that's the stories are what make it unique.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're all, pretty familiar with how to purchase art. If there's a piece that we're,
All too familiar.
we're aware of how to get that. So just, the opportunity to buy original art isn't necessarily a huge draw on its own. It's everything else that goes with it.
Yeah, yeah. So, so this is an example of like one of these pieces that I bought, during like one of the holiday sales, and I just had them bring it to the show. So this is bunk bait here.
Yeah.
So this is a
You didn't even need to put that in. I saw the corner. I was like, I bet that's a Jesse. Like the bottom corner of that top panel. I didn't
Yeah.
know what book it was, but I was like, I know that movement. I actually was guessing it was going to be a Kaya thing, but yeah. Uh, I
So,
is that a was that issue one?
It
So
was.
that's man's best, clearly, but
I was
yeah,
prepared. I knew to bring this because I knew what Ian picked up.
wow. But I had been staring at this for a long time on the website, and I was like, well, why don't I just pick it up because before you two do.
I
So
what did I tell you when you showed it after you picked it up and showed it to me? What did I say?
you said thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you for like saving me from myself,
Yeah, because
basically.
that was
well,
like it was one of the ones that like I just on the website I was like, oh that's really good. Because anytime they do their holiday sales or whatever, and then you think, okay, suddenly you go through everything again and revisit things, and like that was always one that was on the list. So thank you.
Yeah.
so I've actually had a very similar relationship with the other pages from Man's Best that Carl talked about with setting up that Dan Jurgens commission, where I do that same thing. I keep looking at it, but the original page that I bought from it, which is issue three, like I spent so much time going through there, and it was like just exactly the page that I wanted. That I'm like, I don't know that I'm looking for any other. And then you show me something like that, and I'm like, but I want that one.
No, you have a great page too, and so do you, Carl. And
Yeah,
honestly, any Lonergan page is a
yeah,
great page.
yeah.
It's
That's it.
just he, I don't think he's really capable of phoning it in. I mean, it's like it's just page after page of like wizardry, honestly, at this point in his career.
Well, and he's the kind of artist that I tend to gravitate to where it looks uniquely him. I mean, like I said, when you had a just sort of off panel and I could just see the lines and the movement that was there, I was like, I bet
I,
that's Jesse.
yeah,
Carl, like when you bought that Turtles page and you had and it was just like circles, but like in just the thumbnail, I was like,
yeah,
that's a Jesse. But like
yeah.
little pieces of it, it's like the trademark for who that person is. You can see immediately, like, yes, that is that guy. Like that. That's yeah.
And that's what you
That's-
want. Like that's the stuff that I gravitate towards and enjoy. This it's like a unique voice that you can instantly identify. Like, oh, that's a Jesse Page, and he's like Ian said, he's a wizard, and the guy just puts so much thought into everything. And yeah, um, but yeah,
and thankfully, because the Tired Dads did give Drome Book of the Year last year, it looks like Jesse is starting to finally get his run up. A lot of other people jumped on that book after they heard us talking about it, and
clearly, I
really seems like he's getting there. So after years and years of us talking about him. Finally, people listened to us and went there. So we were very happy to be part of that when we did name Drome as our Book of the Year last year.
in fact, I believe the story I heard was when you were at Heroes, you strong-armed Ian into becoming part of the Jesse Lonergan fan club by making him buy a different Man's Best page. So that's the story I heard was you will buy this page.
And
I,
it's
I actually did that to everyone who was walking by. I just was like, hey, and
Get
just
over here.
grabbed him. And I was like, buy a page from this man.
Yeah.
he pulled this WWF move on me, and I couldn't resist. It's like it's
It's
all your
true.
wrestling
It was a little
fans.
inconsiderate because I did put you through his table, and he's like, "Come on, man! Like, what am I supposed to like put my art on now?"
Wasn't
But
it? Isn't it? Is it this one? Is this the one you had? The other one?
That is the one, yeah,
Yeah,
on the
I thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was because it was one with all like the circles and the lines down the
yeah. I
all
which
mean,
right.
yeah, sorry.
Let's see how good you are, Carl. Which page is mine in there?
Oh, yeah, I got this. Hold on. Let me I forget which issue it's in, but I
It's
know
issue three. I'll
exactly.
give you that
Okay, three.
much.
Okay, okay, okay. You are Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Where is it?
Maybe
See.
it's issue four. Actually, now that
Okay. All
I
right.
think
Hold on.
yeah, I think actually there's another page I keep looking at from issue three, and I think that's
See,
what I'm thinking
you
of.
just
Yeah.
need to go back and get it. I do know. I know exactly what it is. It's the flashback of. Here it is.
Okay. Man, Carl knows my collection better than I do.
Yeah. because it's because here's you know why I know for certain this is a bunk page because that bottom panel is just all about sadness.
Yep.
That's just it's like that's a bunk page. A dog getting left behind, the owners
Hmm.
leave, and the
Hmm.
dog is sad. Bunk's like, pump that into my veins.
Mm.
Yeah.
Give me
So
that. Oh, that is what I look for on my page. You have your T-shirt of one of the pages you have from Moon is following us. The one I wanted was the terror in the parents of an unresponsive child, and just like
Ian, have you read Moon is Following Us? Did you read that one? I know you're not like
yet,
okay.
but it's
it
on
came
the
out
list.
after 2004,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
not really his thing.
It's yeah, okay. Good to
But
know.
I've listened to
Mhm.
your shows, and I know how much.
Yeah, no, no. I was just gonna. There's a page. After hearing me talk about it, you know that it's about parents and their child is in distress. There was a page. The page that Bunk has is the single page that I would not touch because it's like it's so emotional and it's like oh my God, like the powerful emotions that come out of that page are and they're it's amazing. It's an amazing page, but it was like the page that Bunk wanted. I was like, all right, more power to you, man. But it's a great page. It's just it's so good. It makes me uncomfortable to see it.
Yeah, I mean, some people love tragedies, some people love comedy.
But
Takes
again,
all types. Takes all types.
but it's all about the stories and what people appreciate in art, and I find enjoyment out of that. So like, yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, I do really love Riley Rossmo. So I have a couple of Rossmos, and eventually I'll get around to it for sure. And hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they making more issues? Or is it?
So they're not making more Moon is following us issues. So, but they are doing the follow-up project. Riley's next project is another partnership with Danny Warren Johnson.
Yeah.
It's going to be all written by Dan, but then all of the art is going to be by Riley. So it's not split art duties like Moon is following us was. And it's apparently somehow loosely connected to the Moon is following us. Not really sure how, but I'm just probably one small connective thread, but we'll see. But there, it's Riley's next project.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll get in on one of those art drops. I kind of missed the boat. I kind of missed the boat on Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like thankfully Moon is following us is somehow like a book that I don't know how, but somehow kind of flew under the radar a little bit with the because he had Transformers going on, and then there's this like sad book about parents and their daughter, and maybe it was that he wasn't the main artist on the series. He was just like kind of doing. I think what he said was like 15 to 20%,
20%. Yeah.
yeah, of the art. But I feel like I probably got the last like under $1,000 splash page. Like, but again, like it's a dude wrestling a car seat, so it's not doesn't speak to everyone, but I think it's amazing.
Well, I
Um,
remember looking one of the drops. There was a splash page where I can't remember the wife's name, the mom's name in that. She's in the hospital with her mom,
Sam, yeah,
and it's like her holding her, and you see like the wrist bracelet, and again it's a splash, and it was priced.
I think it was like seven. I want like seven or
No, no,
eight.
no, no. It was less. It was at most 500. It might have been 400. I
oh
remember
wow,
because you'd ask,
wow,
like, we were texting for
yeah,
that one, and I was like, I'm not in a place where I can be spending this money right now. Like, I'm gonna look because I want to see what prices are. And I looked at that, and I was like, how? What? And I was
yeah,
like, come on. And it was like, I said, I'm not gonna buy anything. And I was just like, I was looking, I was like, oh. Thankfully, someone ended up buying it, but like I was so tempted because I'm like, there's never going to be another opportunity to get a full page splash from DWJ for under 500.
yeah. I mean, this was like under 1,000, and I thought that was
Yeah.
a steal, steal. So
yeah, there's a local guy who um, was kind of getting rid of a bunch of his art, including, DWJ pieces because he didn't, I don't know, he just didn't want to take the risk of having them around. And,
I mean,
they went up on eBay at like 2,200. And I thought, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I kind of, because they were
Yeah,
specific because they were specifically from Powerbomb,
yeah.
which I know is like, just darling, right, of his oeuvre. And so, and I kind of like
Bring
hemmed
out
and
the French
hawed,
book again.
and I didn't go for it, and I feel dumb now.
Yeah, no, yeah, there were a couple times where like I would have loved to have do a power bomb page. I still would love to have one, but I just understand that that's beyond. Like I'm happy with a dad fighting a car seat. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, does he win?
Do we ever win with car seats? It's just like you let your rage out, and you're like, what did I just do?
I
Yeah,
don't understand how the straps that clip into the bottom are always too short. It
right.
doesn't matter how much you let it out, like it is always too you can get one of the clips on, the other one is always too short to clip.
It's the only way it clips in is with the full body weight of a human man pushing against things to get it to like that's the perfect the length. It's like
But also it doesn't go like you need to like do that and then also like twist and go and you need to be doing that for at least 5 minutes and
yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's only the safety of your child that is at so it must be done. It
Yeah.
just it's I hated it.
I mean, the most
There.
amazing thing about car seats is that, you end up finally getting this vacuum tight seal, right, against the back of your back seat. And yet somehow, like a whole box of Cheerios ends up
Hmm.
Yes,
under there
Yep.
somehow. I don't
right.
understand how that happens. It's like,
It's
how did you get
disgusting.
this whole box? And a
Yeah.
banana there, yogurt. It's like, oh, it's
It's
gross.
like, how did a whole like, empty applesauce pouch get under there? How? Yeah, but it's all, but that's what I love about this page is all of that stuff is at the bottom of the car seat. There's
Hmm.
like granola bar wrappers, and I was like, oh, it's this page is just speaking to me. So yeah.
Okay. Well, what else you got, Carl?
So the only other thing that I got, so the other table that I went to was Maxi Dallow. Now, Maxi is a creator that I was unaware of. I met him at the first OAX, and he was signed on. He's repped through Mark Hay at Splash Page Art. He started repping Maxi, brought him to the first OAX, and there was a piece that was featured in the auction, the first OAX auction, which was a um, Peter Parker and Mary Jane sitting on top of like a rooftop having a little picnic, but it was like Spider-Man in his like costume, but he was sitting next to MJ and they're having like a just a picnic. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. It's like a little like slice of life piece of a piece that he did for the auction. And I was like, that's really amazing. So I commissioned him the first year, and so then he came back the second year OAX. I got another piece. It was my beachcomber, the Transformers piece. It's beachcomber in the out in the woods with the deer and again another beautiful piece that he did for me. And throughout this, I had been kind of messaging him through Instagram and just kind of on a personal level, just every once in a while checking in on things that he was working on. So it's just this really cool friendship has developed over the years. And this year, I was like, look, I'm not going to get a commission from him, but he worked on a couple of issues from the there's an image series called Lost Fantasy, and it's very Mike Mignola kind of inspired. So he did two issues of that. He did issues 5 and 6 that he drew, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna maybe get something from Lost Fantasy. I didn't know what page, but I went down there. So after I uh, was at the artist bullpen, I went over to Maxi's table and just catching up with him. He just had a baby, I think 4 months ago. So he's a new dad. I was talking to him about deadlines and just being a dad and how that's working. So just again just a friendly conversation. And as I was like looking through his Lost Fantasy stuff, I was also talked to him about the commissions that he did this year. So he did I think he said he did 25 commissions, 25 pre-show commissions for this year. And I was like, dude, that's impressive. And he said he was working on like the last three that he had to finish, but he was also uh taking new requests at the show as well. And I was like, you're a madman. But yeah, so really happy for him. I love that he's kind of his career's kind of taken off. So it's just fun to watch that happen and to be part of that. Just on a human level, just talking to this guy. And he's an easy guy to root for because he's very humble, very kind, and it just you make that connection. It's really cool. So the art means a lot. And yeah, so anyway, um, so we're just having all these conversations while I'm looking through his portfolios, and I narrowed it down to a couple pages, but this is one. It's it's really cool that the character has this giant sword. It's like kind of like Final Fantasy type sword that he's has here, but he's fighting this dude who is very I said it's like Mike Mignola inspired. There's a character that has like the basically
The
is
Hellboy
just
fist right
right
there.
is
Yeah.
just like Hellboy. So it's a nice like homage to Hellboy. But I was talking about there was one page that I really wanted, and I was like, oh, I didn't see it in there, and then he said that he was keeping this one page because it was a page that he was working on at the hospital when his daughter was being delivered. So he was like on a deadline, so he was working on it. He's like, oh yeah, this is the page I'm keeping. I was like, oh, I was like, that was the page I was gonna look for, but like that's an amazing, you for artists, and a lot of this happens a lot where they'll tie certain life events to the art because it's what they were doing at that time of their life, and I was like, that's an amazing story. It's like, look, um, I was like, I did try to buy that page from him. I'm just like, that's amazing. I'm super glad like that you have that memory attached to that art, and I would never try to buy that, but I love that page. So anyway, so I landed on this one because in talking to him, there was he said he really loved how this panel came out, this particular panel, and I was like, well, there you go. That's my there's my decision because it's easy to find things you like about a lot of different pages, and this was I didn't want there were some splashy type stuff and bigger pages, but like I love the storytelling. I love what you can get on the variety on a page. It's usually less expensive, but you get you see what an artist can do with the sequencing. So he has this. He's on this page. The sword is pressed up against the fist of doom there, and he kind of repels it back. So the sword goes flying, it gets repelled back, and then he's rushing back in for another attack, and so he kind of makes contact, and then the guy pushes it back. The sword goes flying out of his hand, and then lands behind him, and so I just like that kind of that sequence of events, and you get a variety of things, the close up of the eye of the character, and so but knowing that he's particularly proud of this panel, that was the deciding factor. I was like, all right, well, there you go. That's the page I want. So one of the things I was talking to him about were all the projects that he's working on, and he did I don't know if it's out yet or but there's an anthology series that I forget what it's called. Or actually, maybe Save Now. It's a Bad Idea comic released by Bad Idea Comics, and I think it's called Save Now. I don't know for sure, but it's an anthology book, and Jesse Lonergan did a backup in one of the issues, and then I think Maxie did um the backup to the following issue. So he was talking about uh like Jesse's work because I had a portfolio of the stuff that I collected, and I started showing him some of the things that he wanted to see. Like, oh, what do you have in there? So I just was showing him the pieces that I brought, and I think it's that. I think it is that one. Yeah, that I mean
This
that
is
series. I think
I mean this is the one that Jesse had the backup in.
okay. So yeah, so I think it's the next issue was I think an issue that Maxie did, and I think he was like following up from the story that's Jesse was working on. So anyway, he was talking about Jesse's work, and I was like, oh, I actually have some with me. So I showed some of the stuff I had in my portfolio, um, and so I asked him if he had read Drome yet, and he said no, I haven't. I want to, but I just haven't read it yet. So I was like, in that moment, I was like, I have one that I haven't bought yet. That's over at the Artist Bullpen. So I don't have that book that is remarked by Jesse Lonergan because I bought it and I took it over and gave it to Maxie on that would have been on Saturday before I had to leave a day early. So on Saturday before I left, I went to settle up with Artist Bullpen, and yeah, so I bought the book and just gave it right to Maxie. He's like, so I like it just it made sense. Like it just to be able to in the same way that Ian, if you scooped up copies there, it's just I wanted to make sure that Maxie had the opportunity to read this book, and that gave me more joy than having a copy with a remark from Jesse in it, because it's like that's cool. I I was like, here you go, there's something you can read on the plane home, and he just was really obviously very very appreciative, and yeah, I just like that personal connection, which is amazing. So, but all born out of just standing there talking to him, and the opportunities are there because of this show, and because of that, like this page, this page might not do anything for a lot of people, but like there's so much now tied to this page that it's yeah, how do you put a price on that? Like it was just the conversation that I had with him. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
that's
was
a really fun page too. It's a very action. It's a cool action page, and I haven't read the comic yet.
Ian, you know I got to see that Zoe piece.
Okay, so you know, generally I'm like what what is referred to in the hobby as a black hole collector. Basically light goes in and it never comes out. If you look at my account, actually, I don't, it's very hard to look at my account page because there's literally nothing on it. And yeah,
by
people are going,
design.
how do I find you? It's like, so, but just for you, because I care about your well-being, I'm going to show you them.
Nice.
So, let me see. So I'll show the thing. I actually did win my auction piece. It was kind of fascinating because I won it before. I basically was a high bidder going into the actual physical auction. And because nobody and actually nobody placed a bid. So I was sitting there going, um, the guy who runs OAX, like sometimes he'll take proxy. He's the person who um, does all the proxy bidding for the online bidders, and he just sort of said, well, Ian, since you're here, you can just keep bidding for yourself. Uh, even though I had, I had headroom to go. So, but anyways, I ended up winning it, and I put all my eggs into one basket. And I said, I don't care about the rest. There's some like legitimately flat out amazing pieces in the auction. Like people, all the artists, they either do an original drawing or original painting in some cases. Like there's oil paintings in there. And a lot of them just they just pull out all the stops to just impress the hell out of um, all the collectors there because
Yeah,
they
they
know go for some money. And the way they do it is that, part of I think every artist is probably a little different, but my understanding is that the standard breakdown is that um, a certain percentage, like 10% goes to charity. And this year they were supporting four different charities, including the Hero Initiative, but some other local, I believe a hospital, children's hospital or something like that. Um, and then I guess of the remainder, like half goes to the artist and half goes to the show to sort of help pay for the show. And so, you know, some of the pieces can go for quite impressive prices. And so, you know, I felt I needed to win and I was not going to lose effectively. So I got this, which is
ooh.
uh, it's actually quite small.
So is that was that the auction piece then? Because I assume that's not
This
a
is yeah, this is the auction piece. This is a self-portrait that she did uh, recently, and I
nice.
just said, anybody who's knows, what was, she had actually forgotten to sort of sign it when she put it up for the auction, and I went by the next day to have her sign it, and I told her the reason I wanted this piece more than anything else in that auction, and again, there were some amazing things that anybody would be happy to own. Um, was that, you know, when I was her age, well, anybody who knows who's been following Zoe knows that what she's been going through with her brother, um, and how he passed away. And so when I was her age, my sister passed away for, very, not for the same reasons, but for, in a very similar, sudden way. And so I saw this piece and I just really understood what she's going through in this drawing, and it's just and I just, we ended up having like, I don't know, like almost a 30-minute conversation of just me and her talking about, what she's going through and, how things are getting better. And, I told her some of the things that happened to me and, how I don't know if I ever got through it, but how I managed to manage through it many years later. And so it's just like another, nice moment with a person where you're connecting about, lives. And I just know that there's this moment of transformation happening here, which is what's being shown. She's sort of coming out of this old version of herself and having to figure out who that black dot is. Um, so, you know, this is just something I just felt like I knew where this picture is coming from, and I
Mhm.
just felt I had to have it. So, um, and actually, I think per square inch, I probably win the most expensive piece of art per square inch, possibly.
Yeah, nice.
But okay,
Well,
so
Zoe's boards, I mean, even when she's not doing that, like her boards she draws on are smaller than sort of standard American, 11 by 14 or whatever they go for.
yeah, they're quite small. I was sort of, yeah, and you're right. I do have a couple of pages from the Billy book, and I don't know, they're not much bigger than a notebook page. Um, okay, so I'll show the last thing here, which again I wasn't gonna do
Oh,
because I'm trying to build.
We can edit this out if you want this to,
yeah, we don't have
be
to.
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
blackball.
no.
Okay.
I want you to see this. Like, so I'm hitting the point where I'm finally getting comfortable with the idea of throwing stuff up on my calf page because, um, you know, anyway, not to totally dox myself, but, um, you know, um, there was an event where, I just felt like, why am I keeping all this a secret, And it's, I should just, someone should sort of see the fruits of my labor, like, because I've never shown my collection to anybody except my girlfriend who just couldn't care less, right? It's like,
Yeah.
um, and so, uh, anyway, so I've been trying to create this portfolio of commissions about one character, and I've been inspired by, um, Carl knows this guy. His name's Derek, and he's got the most amazing collection of art about Maxima.
Yeah.
He loves the character Maxima. I don't know if you remember that character.
Like the PlayStation 1 video game?
No,
Yeah.
Carl knows because she's a character that comes up in the '90s Superman run.
The
Uh,
the redhead who decked Doomsday and the Death of Superman storyline, and she was in Panic in the Sky. Was like kind of like where she also was featured and heavily in that story. And but yeah, she's yeah.
I'll send you a picture of the guy that I was thinking of, but after very different
Yeah,
than
very,
that.
he's the sort of person who's always trying to seduce Superman or something. She's like some alien who is like almost as powerful as him, but
Yeah,
also had like Jean Grey type telepathy powers. And
that sounds for I'm sure I've read a story with that. Like the name doesn't mean it, but I
anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had one of the trading cards because she was actually on that page that I sold to my friend Bill, where it's her punching Doomsday. But yeah, anyway,
Oh yeah, that's right. You had that page.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
did. I did have that page. So
anyway, there's he just has this great portfolio of commissions of this character because it's largely a forgotten character at this point in DC history. And so it's just this sort of special thing where, you sort of see this person's love of this character reflected in every, iteration of it. Sorry, Carl.
she is rumored to be in the next Superman movie,
Oh, really?
Maxima. Yeah, I mean rumored, but we'll see. I think anyway. Sorry.
Derek start that rumor.
I know Derek. He's like finally he was like waiting. This is my moment. Yeah.
But yeah, I've always loved this portfolio of his. So I'm trying to do something similar. I don't have as many pieces because I don't really do commissions that often.
Yeah.
Um, because I like published pages more.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But I felt like this is a character who, was meaningful to me when I was younger, and it's not a character that is well represented in comic books at all. So there just isn't a lot of um, just not a lot of pictures of her, basically. So, but I'm trying to create this portfolio full of Aeon Flux, and so
Okay. Yeah,
so
like I was gonna say I remember the old MTV cartoon.
yeah,
I never read the comics with it, but I remember when they had that. And then wasn't there a movie with like Charlize Theron?
yeah, it's like
Never
uh,
saw that, but I
unwatchable, honestly, is what I
Yeah.
would say. It's unwatchable, and the comic that was created was based on the movie. And there's only 4 issues, and it doesn't have her. It looks like Charlize Theron rather than a
Then the
classic
character. Yeah.
character. So, anyways, I've got I don't know, maybe 10 or so pictures at this point. So I'll probably eventually make one of these videos that, are like the maximum video when I get enough in a year or two. Um, but this one's for Zoe, and she had never seen the cartoon. I sent a bunch of links to like, where you could see it like on YouTube or like other streaming services for
oh
free.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it's a character who's kind of racy, right? Like she's sort of dressed a little provocatively, and so I'm always a little like um, hesitant to sort of ask, certain creators to do it, Um, but she ended up, apparently really liking this character, so I feel like justified.
Yeah, there you go.
But so this is it. It was one of the only 2 commissions that she did. Uh,
That looks so cool. It
Yeah.
reminds me of her Overwatch cover that she did with Tracer. Like it uh damn, that's cool.
what's amazing is that the gun and her clothing, it's all zippatoned.
Oh, that's cool.
Like she had an X-Acto knife with her and like
Like
a bunch of zip pages, and she cut out all those shapes. I mean, there's like line work underneath it, so it's like because it's, but you can sort of see some of it through the transparency, but all of that,
the little like slivers on her finger and like the
like I think
wow,
the gun, she did the gun first because it's like lower, and then she put the hand there and zip. It's sort of amazing.
that's really cool.
So I feel like I got
Yeah. Yeah. So
I just
she only did 2 commissions? Like
I need to do commissions.
wow. And so I'm curious, did she have to like pick to do yours or did she get like multiple requests in? She's like, no, this is what I'm gonna do, or did you just like
I
maybe
think
like
it was
two
first
spots
come,
and then
first serve, and I was the
okay,
first
okay.
one because I
Yeah.
just stopped what I was doing. And
You were like, yeah, you had
You
the
had that
email ready to
Control
go.
C email already
yeah,
Yeah.
written and just Control V'd it.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think I was a little lucky because it was not what Maxi charges. Um,
Yeah.
so I think people probably like kind of hesitated.
Yeah.
Um, and like, a lot of collectors just haven't come around to sort of recognizing her and sort of finding her yet. So because they're kind of chasing older stuff. But so I think I don't know. I think I was lucky to get in.
Yeah. That's cool.
So
Yeah.
anyways, this is a bit of the jewel in the crown for me. Or, you know, whatever. It's the thing that I love the most from
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
art.
And you know,
That's so dope.
so to get the thing that's like very personal to you, and then her like the auction piece, which by the way is like that's I'm so glad that you have it. I mean, it clearly hearing you talk about it, like you're the person that should have won that auction. So congratulations. And you know, again, that's like and also just the shared conversation of the opportunity to have that conversation with her is very special and meaningful and yeah, so congrats.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And I might have picked up a couple of other pages. And, Bunk, if you come to the next OAX, I'll actually show them to you.
Yeah. It's
Uh, I
I
I feel very similar about Florida, as you do. So I don't know that I have an OAX in my future, but I will never say never.
I will say this, it is a very bunk type show because of the conversations that you can have and the meaningful conversations that you can have. It's not just like we talked about it, but I really think that I'm not a huge Florida fan, but I will go every year to this show because of the other people that are there. So
I would do
and
a bar crawl with Terry Dodson. That sounds dope.
Anyways, I hope it is in your future soon. And
I
I
hope
think you'd have
so.
fun.
I'm gonna be missing Heroes this year. It basically runs exactly at the same time of my 10-year anniversary. So where they pushed it up, that wasn't gonna happen. So honestly, at present, I don't think I have any shows lined up for 2026. So we'll see how next year goes on that, and
It
who
it is
knows?
in it's in March next year, OAX. So I think the dates are out there. I think it's like in later March if I remember correctly. But
Yeah, it's totally worth it. I would encourage anybody who's interested in original art to go there. There's also a lot of people who are, I know some guys who are sort of newer to art, or they don't put art as their, focus of their collection, and they're more about signatures and like getting books and slabbed and things like that. And it's a good place to just bring books to have people who, um, to sign them, and they're and you get to have these, great conversations, far-ranging conversations with them, and they're just as happy to sign your book as, sell you some art, or just have you look through their portfolio.
yeah, it's good for any type of collector.
Well, everyone, that was our OAX talk. For anyone who's still sticking around here at the end, I hope you got to find out a little bit more about sort of this closed door society that really there isn't much more going out. Hope you got to see some dope pieces of art, and maybe you're inspired to check it out next year. So, if you are still around right now, we would love to hear about your experience with OAX. Is this something you're watching because you've gone in the past? Is this something you're interested in checking out? You're like, oh, I've always heard about that, but I haven't really done it. Or are you thinking about hanging out with Carl and Ian next year? Please let us down below in the comments. But with that, I've been Bunk.
I've been Carl.
And I'm the
That's
I'm the
that's
third
Ian.
wheel. I'm the third wheel. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ian, when Buck and I were talking about having doing like an OAX show, I was like, we got to get Ian on, and I even talked to you like at the show. I was like, please come on and talk about the show because like yeah, you are a very kind voice in that many people know, and I think I wanted more people to actually get to know you more so than just the chat. So thank you for doing this as well.
Yeah, anytime, anytime. I'm tired, and I'm also a dad sometimes.
Fit
My
right
kid,
in. Yeah.
my kid doesn't really need me anymore. So it's a little sad, honestly, but yeah.
It's okay.
I was gonna say the tired part's the important part.
Yeah,
Honestly, like
exactly. Yeah.
there's the we are dead, but it's really more about like the being tired in the comics part, and your dad's just kind of a bonus there.
Yeah,
But
that's just a reason why we're tired right now. One of the reasons. So
Awesome.
anyway, thanks
no.
again.
Yeah, of
All right.
course. Good to
Well,
see you guys.
everyone, good art, good comics. Get some sleep.
Take care.
Bye.